The heading, Introduction. The early Byzantine era and its military context sets the stage for exploring the transformative period of the Byzantine Empire, a crucial era that saw the reshaping of Roman military and political strategies after the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 CE. The early Byzantine Empire, often considered as the continuation of the Roman Empire in the East, was marked by its adaptation and resilience amidst a backdrop of uncertainty and external threats. This era's military context is vital in understanding the empire's survival and expansion during these formative centuries. During this period, the Byzantine Empire faced a myriad of challenges, including invasions by barbarian tribes, the rise of the Persian Empire, and internal conflicts. The Byzantines inherited the Roman military framework, but were forced to innovate and adapt to the changing landscape. The establishment of the thematic system, where military provinces or themes were created, is a key example of this adaptation. This system allowed for a more localized defense and efficient military response, significantly influencing the empire's ability to repel invasions and manage its vast territories. Another significant development was the enhancement of the Byzantine navy, which became a formidable force in the Mediterranean under emperors like Justinian I. Naval power was crucial for controlling trade routes and protecting the empire from seaborne threats. The Battle of Dara in 530 CE serves as a notable example, showcasing the effective use of innovative tactics against the Sassanid Persians, highlighting the military prowess of generals like Belisarius. Scholars often view these military adaptations as essential for the cultural and political longevity of Byzantium. They argue that the strategic flexibility and organizational innovations helped transition the Roman legacy into the medieval world. However, there are differing opinions on the effectiveness of these reforms. Some critics argue that the thematic system, while initially successful, eventually became cumbersome and contributed to later military inefficiencies. Despite these challenges, the military context of the early Byzantine era profoundly influenced other aspects of Byzantine society, including its economy, administration, and culture. The military successes and reorganization efforts reinforced imperial authority and stability, setting a foundation for what would become one of history's longest-lasting empires. Understanding this military context provides valuable insights into the Byzantine Empire's strategies that not only defined their era, but also left a lasting imprint on the course of European history. The transition from Roman to Byzantine warfare marks a significant evolution in military strategy and practice, reflecting the broader transformation of the Eastern Roman Empire into what we recognize as the Byzantine Empire. This shift in warfare was characterized by a series of adaptations and innovations that emerged due to various geopolitical, cultural, and technological changes occurring between approximately 476 and 550 CE. Though the military of the Byzantine Empire was the heir to Roman traditions, it developed unique elements that distinguished it from its predecessor. The significance of this transition lies in its impact on the empire's survival and expansion. As the Western Roman Empire fell, the Byzantine Empire needed to address new threats from both East and West, including Persian forces and various barbarian tribes. The Byzantine military adapted by combining traditional Roman practices with innovative approaches such as increased use of cavalry, fortified positions, and enhanced siege tactics. These changes were crucial to maintaining Byzantium's dominance and are reflected in the successful defense of Constantinople and its territories. One notable example of this adaptation is the development of the theme system, which reorganized military and administrative control in provinces, allowing for quicker mobilization of troops. This system helped the Byzantines to respond more effectively to external threats and internal revolts. Another example is the use of Greek fire, an incendiary weapon that proved decisive in naval battles, particularly notable during the Arab sieges of Constantinople. Historians generally agree on the effectiveness of these innovations in Byzantine warfare. Many suggest that the adaptability and resilience demonstrated during this transformation were key reasons for the empire's longevity. However, challenges to this narrative exist, as some scholars argue that these changes were largely reactionary, driven by necessity rather than innovation, and that they reflected a decline from the disciplined Roman legions. The transition from Roman to Byzantine warfare influences our broader understanding of military history by demonstrating how empires must adapt to survive and thrive. It paves the way for further developments in medieval warfare and offers insights into the strategic thinking that characterized one of history's longest-lasting empires. Furthermore, this transformation intersected with developments in other areas such as politics, economy, and culture, showcasing the interconnectedness of societal evolution. Despite differing opinions, this period's military transformations were pivotal in defining the legacy and endurance of the Byzantine Empire. The heading, Major Campaigns and Battles, 476 to 550 CE, delves into the military history of the Byzantine Empire during a pivotal era. This time frame marks the transition from the Western Roman Empire's collapse to the establishment of Byzantine dominance in the Eastern Mediterranean. Understanding these campaigns and battles is essential as they shape the political and cultural landscape of Europe and the Near East, influencing the Byzantine Empire's evolution into a powerful entity that preserved Roman statehood and culture. One significant example is the Battle of Dara in 530 CE, where Byzantine forces under General Belisarius defeated the Sasanian Empire's army. This victory showcased the Byzantine military's strategic advancements and bolstered the empire's eastern frontier defenses. Another critical campaign was the Vandalic War, 533 to 534 CE, which successfully reasserted Byzantine control over North Africa. This campaign not only restored vital grain supplies to the empire, but also demonstrated Justinian Puernice's ambition to recover former Roman territories, reinforcing Byzantine influence in the Western Mediterranean. Military historians often regard these campaigns as testaments to Byzantine resilience and their capacity to adapt to new threats through tactical innovations and efficient military administration. The strategic use of fortified positions and the famed Byzantine cavalry highlight the empire's combination of traditional Roman tactics with innovative approaches, securing victories against formidable foes. However, these campaigns also faced challenges and criticisms. The financial burden of sustaining prolonged military efforts strained the Byzantine economy, leading to tax hikes and internal discontent. Critics argue that the emphasis on reconquest eventually overextended the empire, making it vulnerable to future invasions. Additionally, while some contemporaries admired Justinian's zeal for restoration, others viewed it as unrealistic or overly ambitious, neglecting pressing issues within the empire's core territories. These military endeavors were not isolated events, but connected deeply with broader social, economic, and political aspects of Byzantium. They influenced the empire's diplomatic relationships, trade routes, and interactions with emerging European powers. Moreover, by securing key regions and fortifying borders, these battles laid the groundwork for the Byzantine Empire's cultural flowering in subsequent centuries, as well as its role as a buffer against the encroaching forces of the early Islamic caliphates. Ultimately, the major campaigns and battles of 476 to 550 CE underscore the Byzantine Empire's dynamic and complex character, reflecting both its enduring legacy and the formidable challenges it faced. The heading, Key military leaders and their strategic innovations in the context of Byzantine battles between 476 and 550 CE refers to the pivotal roles played by military commanders who not only led armies, but also pioneered strategic maneuvers that shaped the outcomes of conflicts during this period. These leaders were instrumental in establishing the Byzantine Empire's military legacy, marked by tactical ingenuity and the ability to adapt to evolving threats. Their innovations were not merely battlefield maneuvers, but often involved comprehensive approaches to warfare, including intelligence, logistics, and diplomacy. The significance of this lies in the leader's ability to maintain and expand Byzantine control, despite a myriad of challenges, including external threats from barbarian tribes and internal political strife. Through strategic innovations, these leaders preserved the remnants of the Roman Empire in the East and laid the foundations for what would become a millennium-long Byzantine state. Two notable figures exemplify this concept: Belisarius and Narses. General Belisarius, one of Byzantine Emperor Justinian I's most trusted military leaders, is renowned for his use of combined arms tactics, which integrated infantry, cavalry, and artillery to great effect. His victory at the Battle of Dara in 530 CE against the Sassanid Persians showcased his skillful deployment of troops and strategic positioning, allowing a numerically inferior Byzantine force to triumph over a larger enemy. Another example is Narses, who, despite being an eunuch and palace official, proved his prowess on the battlefield. At the Battle of Taginae in 552 CE, his shrewd use of terrain and psychological warfare against the Ostrogoths culminated in a decisive Byzantine victory that marked the recapture of much of Italy. However, focusing solely on these innovations overlooks potential challenges and controversies. Some historians argue that the Byzantines often relied too heavily on past Roman strategies and were conservative in adapting to newer forms of warfare, which could be a limiting factor in their military effectiveness. Furthermore, the reliance on a few brilliant leaders sometimes left the empire vulnerable during periods of less capable leadership. Despite these criticisms, the strategic innovations of these key military leaders not only underscore their importance in Byzantine history, but also influence other aspects of the main topic, such as the evolution of Byzantine military doctrine and the empire's longevity. They reveal how adaptation and leadership are crucial for survival and success, themes that resonate throughout Byzantine history. These leaders and their innovations remind us that the tides of warfare are not determined merely by numbers or resources, but by the ingenuity and foresight of those who command.